Welcome to the Minorities Report podcast, A Year in Marvel. We are back with another year in Marvel. My name is Antonio Alcazar.
We are Technor Studios.
Wait, I don't know who that's supposed to be. Is that like Green Goblin?
You'll find out later.
We are coming at you with Spider-Man No Way Home today. We went to go see it. The blockbuster movie event of the century, of the last 20 years.
Stop. This is closing in on the end of A Year in Marvel.
Yeah.
And let me say this without revealing too much of my hand. I am so thankful we are almost done with A Year in Marvel.
We've got
one more fucking episode after this.
We've got one episode of Hawkeye, and then that's it. That was the full year. You know, I think back lovingly, warmly to the beginning of this year when it was announced that we would have a new Marvel thing fucking every week. And yeah, it's over, man. How time flies.
Thank it has, and they say time flies when you're having fun. So it's crawled like a motherfucker for me.
No, man, this year's disappeared.
I gotta be honest.
We have recorded evidence that you enjoyed everything Marvel this year.
I'm glad I had a night to think about this film a little bit more before speaking about this film.
You know,
I wanted to hit a couple things.
I usually like it when you come straight from the theater.
Because I'm much more kind.
Because you're always like hyped. And I'm just like, hey, at least we're going to agree.
First things first. Scroll. The Marvel scroll. Yeah. Did you see the new addition to it?
No, I didn't.
Shang-Chi's in it now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that.
One of the top 5 Marvel movies.
They had like 19 credit.
Yeah.
Like big scroll things.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was quiet because they were just going through the
the talk.
They
were catching up people who
Yeah.
If you didn't
watch the second movie.
A friend of mine hadn't seen the second movie.
And went to go see the third?
Yes. He's like, I'm so glad they did that intro because I had no idea what was going on.
Why wouldn't you go see the second
He's
movie?
a maniac, bro.
Although, I'll tell you what, that speaks volumes to the hype for this movie. That even if you didn't go see the movie before it, you were just like, yeah, I'm going to go see that
He
movie.
just saw it because he didn't want to be spoiled tonight when we talk about it.
Oh, really?
It had nothing to do with like, needing to see the...
Sure,
he was like, I have the kids want to see the movie because it's like Spider-Verse-y.
Yeah.
So let's go see the movie because I don't want to be spoiled on Tuesday.
Sure.
I had another friend who ran out last night, late last night, because he was like, I knew you were going to talk about it on Tuesday at gaming, so I had to see it.
I have to see it. Yeah, for sure.
I don't disagree. Okay,
I want to get a little intro. Wait
a second. I want to talk just 1 second about this, okay?
Yeah.
Coming to this movie, right? As everybody knows, I don't do trailers.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew like 3 things. Okay. I knew Dr. Octopus was going to be in it.
Sure.
I knew Green Goblin was going to be in it.
Okay.
And at the last minute, I found out Jamie Foxx is going to be in it. This week, I found out Jamie Foxx was going to be in it.
Yeah.
Literally the only thing I knew about the movie.
Interesting.
And that Doctor Strange. Obviously, I knew Doctor Strange was going to be in it because that was like kind of like a big thing coming into it. No big deal there. So I was very interested, to say the least, because coming to this film, importantly, like you were, how old were you when Iron Man? I was 28, so you were about 22?
I was 20, I think. Yeah, you're 8 years old.
2008.
Yeah,
you were 20?
Yeah, I was 20.
Yeah, you're right.
I was born in 88.
Okay, I was 27 technically when I saw the film. But okay, so when I was 20, Spider-Man came out. So I was the same age for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as you were for Iron Man. To put that into
some context, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Although, what year did Spider-Man 1 come out? 2000?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in 2000, I was 12.
2001, was it?
Yeah, I was like 12, 13.
Yeah.
When that movie came out, I was like...
2001.
Like, hyped to the nth degree.
Yeah.
I really loved that movie.
Excellent.
I've seen every Spider-Man movie that's ever come out.
Yeah.
You know, like, and...
You've seen everyone, including the Andrew Garfield?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. In retrospect,
awesome.
Like, I mean, I always watch those movies and I watched them all in theaters.
Same here. I've seen everyone in the theater.
Yeah, and when I was growing up, the Tobey Maguire movies were my movies. You know, it was like 13 and then 15 and then like 17 when those movies were come out. And so, like, I had kind of grown up with those. And then the Andrew Garfield ones, I was just like, this is a weird reboot time, but okay, let's watch it. And I enjoyed both of them. You know, like I didn't poo-poo on them.
At the time, you enjoyed them.
Sure, and that's what I was going to say. So, like, in retrospect, like, I like the MCU more, you know? But I watched them, enjoyed them as they were coming out, always in theaters.
Interesting. I'm going to get back. We're going to jump back to some of that as we get deeper into this film.
Going into this film,
the finish of the Spider-Man portion of MCU, in my opinion.
No, I think this is just the start.
I don't. Disagree.
I think this is where it
I don't
starts.
think we'll ever see another solo Spider-Man.
Oh, you're funny. I think they already announced that they're doing 3 more with Holland.
I don't think they are going to be Spider-Man. And I'll talk to you about what I think something might happen later on, but I think it's going to be...
I think that this movie sets up that now they can be Spider-Man.
Well, he becomes Spider-Man.
He becomes Spider-Man.
This is the Spider-Man tale here in this film.
Yeah. The first 3 movies, I feel like, were Spider-Man becoming Spider-Man. Now we can have a Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah, that's why I don't think we're going to see another Spider-Man standalone going forward. And I think it's in best interest of the MCU to not do that.
Oh, no. Well, we'll get there, I guess.
Because they'll get more money. If they make a movie like Spider-Man and Flash Thompson or whatever, or Spider-Man and I'll explain that in a minute. Spider-Man and the Hulk or whatever, right?
Spider-Man and Daredevil,
right? Yeah.
Like that
or like the Super Friends or whatever the fuck they called that little group of Spider-Man and Daredevil when they fought crime together. I forgot what that team was called. Yeah. But if they did that movie, they're going to make more money than if they do Spider-Man because they have to give more money to Sony.
Sure. Okay. I see that.
So
I don't disagree.
I don't think we're going to.
But also, I don't. I wouldn't see a Spider-Man movie with like somebody like the Daredevil or like the Punisher or Luke Cage or whatever as not a Spider-Man movie. Just like I didn't.
Wait a second. Do you see Captain America: Civil War as an Iron Man movie?
I see Captain America: Civil War as a Captain America movie.
But Iron Man's in it just as much as Captain America, screen time wise.
Yeah, but I still see it as a Captain America movie.
Okay, so my point
That's literally what I'm saying. I think a Spider-Man movie would still be a Spider-Man movie even if it had other characters.
Okay, but if it's not called Spider-Man,
I don't see like
here's
Iron
what
Man 2 as Iron Man and the War Machine. It's an Iron Man movie.
I don't know. I don't think you're going to see another movie called Spider-Man something. I don't think so.
It won't be like Spider-Man, like
I don't think they're going to do more than 3 movies for anything.
Hell's Kitchen.
In my rock foundation of this is Thor. Because Thor is coming with a 4th movie, but it's not going to be Thor. It's going to be the new Thor.
I'm sure Thor will be in it.
He's going to pop up, of course, because Natalie Portman's going to be the star of it. Yeah. But it's going to be Natalie Portman's film as Thor now. Goddess of Thunder.
I mean, okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, that's very interesting speculation on my end, but we'll see. I went into this having seen all the trailers. I didn't see the TV spots or anything like that because I just feel like it's overblown.
Sure.
But I did know that Elektra was going to be in it. I knew that. I knew all of the villains that were going to be in it that they had shown.
Okay.
And I didn't know because the world didn't know. That the other Spider-Men were going to be in it. There was heavy speculation, but there was heavy speculation about a lot of things.
I heard that I saw a confirmed thing that Andrew Garfield was going to be in it.
So I didn't see any confirmed anything that
was in the post that I saw come up.
Yeah.
That Andrew Garfield had signed whatever. But the one in question was Tobey Maguire.
Sure.
Because there was no hint that Tobey Maguire had signed.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. There had been a leaked still from some time ago, but that could have been a good Photoshop. And so going into it, I was just like, there's a good likelihood that it'll be a multiple Spider-Man movie, but there was a lot of speculation. Like, there's going to be mutants in this movie. Daredevil's going to be in this movie. There was just so much, speculative stuff that I was just like, okay, well, I don't know. So who cares? I'm just going to go watch the movie.
So the movie, let's meander into the first act of the film.
Yeah.
The first act of the film obviously picks up the second after the last movie does.
Yes.
Mysterio. I'll say, you know what? I have to jump a little bit. The one of the complaints I have about this movie is Mysterio should have been in this film.
That's what a lot of people were expecting, that Mysterio was going to be in this film.
He belonged in this film.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, there was no Spider-Man MCU villains in this film.
Right, which is super interesting.
Yeah, all of the villains came from a different
I thought to myself, well, let's get to that in the second act. But, so the first act, we get, obviously, Mysterio. Yeah. We get Jonah, Alex Jonesinson, which I love how they've created that character.
Yes, me too.
Like, he's turned from, just this newspaper guy who, wants to bust Spider-Man.
I want to see pictures of Spider-Man, and now he's just Alex Jones.
He's Alex Jones,
I love that he was even hawking his pills.
Yes.
I fucking laughed my ass off. That was so good.
I enjoy it. Anytime we can make fun of people on the far right, please do so. I will laugh constantly at it. So, really fun little scene there. Obviously gets away with MJ, and then the pressure's on because everybody knows who he is now.
And it's like that. The beginning of this movie has such a light atmosphere. Sure. They're in a super around.
Serious situation. And the music makes it very light, and how he carries it makes it very light.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's a super enemy of the state sort of situation going on.
They're running around. They're really blowing up. They're showing him at the school. Everyone's freaking out. There's a lot of lightness here. A lot of jokes. And the entire first half of the movie, or the first act of the movie, I remember going, especially when it first started, I'm just like, oh, this is giving me there was just a sense to it that it didn't have much weight.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping that changed.
Yeah.
And obviously it did. But I remember I was maybe even naively because of, there was no way that I wasn't going to like this movie. But I think naively when I sat down in the theater, I was just I'm going to give this a fair critique, I sat down and I was just this is going to be, I'm going to watch this as unbiasedly as possible.
I now know what it feels like to cringe.
But yeah, clearly that started going away. As soon as they, let's see, I think as soon as he got to school and they had the moment on the roof. Because once they had their moment on the roof, I was just okay, he's clearly struggling here.
And I think, I agree with you. In the first part, it's, fun, atmospheric, we get a fun shot of Daredevil. That was kind of fun. I enjoyed that, too.
Did you clap?
I laughed out loud.
Did you stand up and clap?
No, so some fucking asshole on the internet I'm friends with, or not, he's not an asshole. His friend posted something about more Daredevil, please. So I was like, okay, well, Daredevil's clearly in this fucking movie.
That's annoying as hell.
I know.
Now, spoilers. Please don't be listening to this if you don't want MCU spoilers.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk. I'm gonna talk a little Hawkeye here. So in the last episode of the Hawkeye, did you see the last episode of Hawkeye?
Of course I did.
Okay, so in the last episode of Hawkeye, in the last frame of the episode, they show
Mr. Grinch.
Yeah, Mr. Grinch. They show Kingpin, and it's the D'Onofrio Kingpin, which was a good indicator that Charlie Cox's Daredevil was going to be in this next movie. And possibly, yeah. There was a fair indication. Kevin Feige had already said that if they were going to move forward with the Daredevil, that it would be played by Charlie Cox. So I was just if he's in this movie, that'd be cool. But when he was in this movie, I was like, dude, this movie's just going to give me everything I ever wanted.
Interesting.
I had the feeling that they were just how when we saw WandaVision, I had the sense that Disney was being mean to the audience by going, oh, you thought you could have this? Well, no. And it's just well, we thought we could have this because you hinted at us having this. And then you pulled the rug out from under us. I liked that this was the exact opposite. They're ooh, you're going to have this. And then they did. It's they were just hey, we're getting ice cream after dinner.
Interesting.
And then they gave me ice cream after dinner. I loved that feeling.
So I have such mixed feelings about this situation.
Yeah.
Of course I'm fine with Charlie Cox. Daredevil to me was the best of the Netflix shows.
Sure.
Okay.
And Matt Murdock, in everything that I grew up with Spider-Man, Matt Murdock was in these shows and in these comics.
Yes, of course.
And so seeing him on screen with Spider-Man really hit me in my little kid watching Saturday morning cartoon Spider-Man on the show where him and Daredevil fighting together. That hit me right there. I was just this universe is the universe when I was a little kid I wanted to see.
Sure.
So I loved seeing
I feel
the
the same issue you had with them. Remember, the rumor was that this was going to be a Spider-Verse film. We talked about this months ago, and you were I don't like it because I remember 6 months ago you being this. I don't like what they're talking about with this movie because I don't like the idea of them bringing in the Tobey Maguire villains and stuff like that.
With the bad guys and with the other Spider-Mans.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I was just that's Sony garbage.
Yes.
It has a different. And
I told you you're gonna fucking love the film for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're thinking right now, and you're silly.
Yeah,
now, hold on.
I talked a lot of shit.
The reason why I don't or I'm not sure I like this is very similar to why you feel about, or you felt about the Tobey Maguire. The Netflix shows were tonally completely different than the MCU.
They were much darker for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's when we got out, my daughter was just because Janet, my girlfriend and my daughter were talking about, and Janet had seen all the Netflix shows, so she was really excited to see Daredevil. And my daughter, who is 12, hasn't seen any of the Netflix shows because they're a little not for a 12-year-old.
Right.
And she was just like, can we watch them? And in that moment, I had that same thought that you did. I'm just like, oh, that's a very, like, different show.
Yeah.
The tone of that is entirely different.
Fucking season 2 has the Punisher murdering an entire row of fucking people on a cell block. Yeah. So, like...
And it's one of the coolest things.
Of course it is. I've ever seen. Yeah, it's very cool. I was talking to a friend of mine who was like John Benethral or whatever. He's perfect as Punisher. And I was like, you know what? I agree with you completely, although I hated the Punisher show. Like, I thought the Punisher show was very weak. I thought he's much better as just like a star in another...
It definitely felt... It had a very Tom Clancy kind of feel to it.
Sure.
Like a generic military fiction kind of...
Yeah, totally.
I mean, but I just loved his performance.
He's great as Punisher.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
I was just into it.
So... Then, you get, okay, so obviously he's starting to have problems with school. He's starting to have problems getting into a college.
Sure.
Because nobody wants the controversy of this person.
Yeah, specifically because they're amping up the fact that he murdered Mysterio.
Right.
A good
or
guy.
at least half of the world believes he murdered Mysterio.
It's like, I've seen some things where it's just like, well, like they were very cool with Iron Man. They were very cool with superheroes. And it's just like, yeah, but this is very different. Because this guy literally is being accused of murder.
While that is true, everybody knows, because I'm just going to assume at this point, everybody knows about Thanos. Everybody knows about the heroes that fucking helped against Thanos. Because they act like they do. So I'm assuming they do. So everybody knows Spider-Man helped stop Thanos. No. There's been evidence for the last fucking year that everybody deals with the snap. Everybody knows that the Avengers helped save against the snap. Okay. I'm not going to fucking allow for a situation.
I mean, in Hawkeye, I guess they always say thank you for saving the world.
Yeah.
But like, are they talking about the Chitauri thing? Because he was running around New York with the Chitauri thing.
Man, all of it. So, but regardless
I just don't know how much people know about who was at the Thanos
regardless
fight.
Of that, it's like fucking. Well, all right. I'm moving past that. Regardless of that, I don't believe in this world that I guarantee there'd be schools that were like, "Hey, you, because of the controversy, we want you here." Like there's schools that want Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah. Like you know, like, and he's
although
a piece of
where
shit.
he had applied to, they canceled that.
That is true. But now he's like being it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into real life.
I don't know about like MIT though.
Sure.
Or any Ivy League school.
Maybe not. I think
the whole thing was like we wanted to go to an Ivy League school in Boston. Yeah. You know? And
I think that there would certainly be an Ivy League school that would be like, Spider-Man, you're in. Come on. Sure, because this is just going to help us down the line with at least a certain group of people, right? So like that is to me a little silly. And what I equate this part to, because now we're getting to the crux of this movie and why everything happens. The plot of this film is that he wants Doctor Strange's help to have people forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what this reminded me of?
What?
Did you ever actually watch Seinfeld? Were you a fan of Seinfeld?
No.
Okay. Seinfeld.
I'm not 73 years old.
Seinfeld it was great. All their plots were the most asinine things.
Sure.
For instance, there was a plot one time where Elaine was going into business with her former boss, making muffins, but just the tops of the muffins. Because people only like to eat the top of the muffin and they throw away the bottom of the muffin. Yeah. So at first he makes just muffin tops, but nobody likes them. And she's like, the reason why nobody likes them is because you don't have the bottom that enhances the flavor to the top. Okay. So then they start making the whole muffin with the bottoms and people love them and they're selling out. But they then have a problem getting rid of the muffin bottoms because, like, they try to put the muffin bottoms in the trash, and the trash people are like, we can't take these. These are just bottoms. Where's the tops? And you're like, what the fuck is the difference if they're just the tops? And then they, like, throw them back at them. Then she says take them to a homeless shelter, and, like, here's free muffins for all the homeless people. And the homeless people are like, I'm not eating that. It doesn't have a top to it, right? And the whole plot of the show is that they can't get rid of these muffin bottoms.
Sure, okay.
That's what I equate this basically to. It is unbelievably silly that the crux of the plot of this is I need people to forget that I'm Peter Parker because my friends can't get into college. Beyond silly to me. If you're okay, I'm sure you were okay with it.
Yeah, but that's not. I feel like you're definitely simplifying that.
Right.
I think that you're. And to more to that, I think that you're simplifying that in bad faith, and I'm gonna explain it to you because it's not that specific thing that he was asking for. He went and like Happy was looking at criminal charges.
Yep.
His aunt was looking at negligent child charges. His friends, the closest people in his life, not only were they not going to be going to school, but the rest of their future was going to change. They weren't allowed to go get an education where they wanted to. They weren't going to be able to have the careers that they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And it's no fault of any of them. Mm-hmm. It was just Spider-Man that did that stuff, and because of association with him. So that guilty conscience on an 18-year-old was heavy for him. Okay. And so like I don't think that's
muffin
silly.
Bottoms.
Yeah, I don't think that's silly.
It's muffin tops and muffin
That's
bottoms.
why I'm saying that your argument is in bad faith.
I disagree because I feel like
you're not
first
putting
of all, it's
yourself
unrealistic.
in that situation.
To me, it's first of all unrealistic.
You're looking at it and then taking it out of context and going, look at how silly this is. I don't think though.
So what? So what if you don't think it's silly from the point of view that nobody would go?
But that's what I'm saying. Nobody.
No, there would be no situation where a friend. First of all, Kyle Rittenhouse was with other people. We don't even know those other people's names at this point. Okay, he was with a whole crew of people.
Not what this story
right? No, it is because it's people that were connected to someone who is now infamous. Okay, that. Their lives are not affected from knowing Kyle Rittenhouse whatsoever.
But in the story, their lives are affected.
What's that?
In this story,
because
their lives are affected.
It's a stretch that took me out of this completely because it's unbelievable.
The thing that you said was silly was that he wanted to change that.
Yeah, because you're right. Because it's stretching from the fact that the thing that they're trying to make me go with,
care about,
yes, is that these people's lives are crazily affected by the. First of all, Aunt May being charged with fucking child abuse is beyond silly. Okay, that is silliness to the extreme, and it was just a bluff. It was a bluff to get her to say something, and she
regardless
refused.
Of what it was.
So it's not a real charge. So it's not something that we have to deal with. The whole Pappy thing, it's okay. Some items were stolen from Stark Industry. Okay, that's not going to lead to anything serious. So like for all of this for me was very hard for me to get on board with being a realistic plot. I'm sorry. It just was because I'm like, those aren't real charges at all. Like that's silliness. And like, I get it. It's a comic book movie. So
I don't think you do get it.
I literally
because I know that you just said, I get it. It's a comic book movie, but you just made some pretty ridiculous arguments about it not being grounded in reality.
It's not ridiculous at all. It's like Aunt May says in the movie, you're bluffing. Like she basically says, you're bluffing. And then they walk away from it.
No.
And then she's free.
She says you're bluffing, and then they go, it's child abuse.
Okay.
And then she just says, I want to talk to Peter.
Yeah. And then that's it. And then she's home. There's no charges, dude. There are no charges here. They go on with their life, regardless. So he then, of course, goes to Doctor Strange, gets some help from Doctor Strange. And, of course, we know how this is all going to go. And he, does his whole thing. And then Havoc breaks loose.
Well, at first he says no. At first he says,
Doctor Strange is
I'm not going to go back in time and change, create an entire new timeline because your life was messed up.
Yeah.
Which I feel like was fair.
Perfect.
But then he was
we talked about this before. Yeah. And we talked about how hyped I was for this, and it's mostly because of how much I love Doctor Strange.
Sure, yeah.
And this movie in general made me love Doctor Strange even more. Like, I'm like, this character is so perfect. I love this character so much.
I liked him a lot in this too. But I was surprised, though, because when I was watching this, I was just like, I think Jason's going to have a problem with his characterization.
He's the least problem I have with the film. No, that's not the truth. There's other things that I love even more than Doctor Strange, but Doctor Strange is definitely up towards the top of things I love.
Sure. And then he's just like, actually, we actually don't need to go back in time and create a whole fucking timeline. We could just, take this out of the collective memory of the world.
Right.
And so now when I watched the trailers and this was the plan, because they weren't secretive about this.
This was in the trailer?
This was in the trailer.
Thank God I don't watch trailers.
Yeah, in the trailer he was just like, I'll help you erase everybody's memory. When they showed it in the trailer, I'm just like, Doctor Strange is like the most logical, most pragmatic fucking human being on the planet. Why would he agree to this, And then when I saw the movie, I was just like, okay, that's fair. Like, I enjoyed the characterization of this decision.
Oh, sure.
Where, like, Wong was just like,
this
is kind of like a bad thing, and Doctor Strange is like, I could probably handle it. Was nice. I like this.
I think in hindsight, too, he easily could have handled it, but Peter fucks it up.
Sure.
So, Wong is always the guy who's like, no.
Even more serious than Strange.
Yes, exactly, right. And Strange is like, still confident in himself. So he's like, no, I can handle this.
It's just an easy peasy, just like erases some people's memories.
And I feel as though it trends well throughout the film, because throughout the film he just almost keeps forgetting that this is a teenager he's dealing with.
I think that that's one of the most important parts of this movie.
Sure.
And it's important clearly to them too, because they kept hammering it in with the audience that this is a child. This is a child.
This is not like the Spider-Mans we've had in the last two movies.
No.
This is a little kid.
This is a kid.
It starts off when he's 16.
I love how he's like, you didn't even think to call this fucking university before you came over to me. That's such a kids that are just like, oh, I wouldn't call. I'm not gonna make that phone call.
We kind of jumped over it. Remember we talked about Dune a little bit, and I was like, man, I really dislike this woman. Zoe Deschanel, is that her name? The Disney lady? Zendaya, thank you.
Yeah. Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah. Really don't care for this lady in general, and I feel like this Mary Jane, it's hard for me to get on board with this Mary Jane. Like, sure. I don't know why. Like, I like all of his other friends. I like Ned. Yeah. I like Flash Thompson. It's hard for me.
You don't know many Zoomers, though, maybe. Because she's just seemed like a real human being.
Okay, sure. That's fine. Yeah. And I just don't like the characterization of Mary Jane.
Sure.
Here, so, and that's cool.
What did you want her to be? What would you have preferred? Did you like the Mary Jane in the other movies?
Yeah,
I guess I like Gwen Stacy.
I just like Mary Jane being much more like Mary Jane to me has never been the emo sort of like, breezing through life, like, okay, I guess. I guess when you put it that way, that she's supposed to be like a Zoomer or whatever.
They're all Zoomers.
Fine, I guess. I just feel like she should be more upbeat than she is, and is what it is. It's just, I don't like. Yeah, because you have a kind of more of a blank slate of these characters, and you're willing to take on whatever characterization they give them, rather than like many years of me knowing and being involved in Mary Jane growing up. You know what I mean? Because, I think that's one of the... Because you weren't into comics as much when you were younger as I was.
But, I was into comics, and maybe not as much as you, but, I think maybe I have seen 4 different iterations of Mary Jane growing up. I mean, I guess I'm counting Gwen Stacy in The Amazing Spider-Man as
course,
Mary Jane.
That's his Mary Jane.
Yeah, I've seen 4 different iterations of a Spider-Man girlfriend growing up, and every single one of them has been different. And so, this one is just different, and she's a Zoomer and a believable one, so I didn't have any issue with it.
So then we get to the things starting to happen.
Yeah.
And when we get on that we get onto that freeway, I was like,
here we go.
Here we fucking go, man. Because...
Starting the second act of this movie.
Man, I love me some fucking Dr. Octopus, especially Alfred. Thank you. Yes,
Merlino.
Easily the best Spider-Man villain through every movie they've made so far. And when he showed up, I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was interesting how well they managed to blend the atmospheres of these 2 different movies.
Sure.
The Raimi Spider-Mans were very different fucking movies.
Yes.
The entire atmosphere and the acting was very different. And it was very interesting how, he totally fit.
Yeah.
It worked really fucking well. I liked how, from a different universe he felt, but how well it just worked in this one.
I liked how... If you just watch Spider-Man 2 and flip to this movie, he's the same fucking character, from a split second before he falls and dies to this fucking movie.
A split, more than a split second.
Right.
He had turned good.
Yes,
in that last moment.
Right. You're right. When he's on his down, you're still in his evilness or whatever. Yeah. So that was really fucking fun, of course. And I thought the fight was awesome there.
That fight was super fun.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes.
And in the trailer, his face looked weirdly CGI'd, and I was just like, oh, I hope that's not distracting throughout the movie. I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
Like whatever de-aging technology they used on him and Willem Dafoe, fucking phenomenally done. It was, I couldn't even fucking tell, except for the scenes where they were first introduced.
Yeah.
So when Alfred Molina's Doc first jumped in.
Yeah.
It was the same as the trailer. It was the same as the trailer. But then moving on, I never noticed it again.
Yeah.
And same thing
I agree, though.
When Willem Dafoe was by the dumpster and he was taking off his fucking suit and he broke the thing, his face looked a little weird, but never again. From that point forward, it was perfect.
When Octavius first shows up and he gives that smile thing, it's so weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Really.
Right? Yeah, I agree. And then I'm agree with you.
Yeah. Past
that, I was totally cool. I have the smallest complaint here that I would have if I had no other complaints, okay. Yeah. But Octavius to me is just William Dafoe's character, Norman Osborn. Okay, he's a super genius.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, the moment he sees this is not the Spider-Man that he expects, I would expect him to instantly be like, there's something going on here. I mean, either in another universe, there's something wrong with this universe or some blend.
Didn't he?
No, he's like, you're not my Spider-Man. And then
although I am a little bit like more forgiving of Doc Ock specifically, because even though he is a super genius, he's also
controlled
like,
by the actor. Good point. I don't hate it as much, and I didn't like. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is a piece of shit or whatever. I was like, still all right, let's go. Yeah. And then of course Norman Osborn or Green Goblin shows up for like a second, blasts off.
The Green Goblin in the Raimi movies was like this horrible monster of a character who was always just blowing shit up, and I loved it. And I had forgotten how much I loved it.
Yeah.
Because
agreed completely.
In this movie, like the other bad guys in the previous movies were bad guys. And there was like MCU bad guy stuff happening, but they were never as like, I don't think any character has been as like
evil,
ruthless as this fucking character. Because this character is just like, and everybody dies. Here's bombs for everybody. There was something about how like literally like crazy merciless this character is that I just loved. Willem Dafoe's performance.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, like I look back at the Raimi movies and I'm just like, fuck those movies. But then I saw his performance again and I'm just like, this dude is so fucking good at this goddamn role.
We only get a second of him in this, importantly, too, because then he blasts off.
Yes.
And then
then Spider-Man gets teleported.
Right, yeah, of course. He's gone, and Spider-Man gets teleported. They're in the cell.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alfred
So you get a half of a second with
and that's it. And then Lizard is already captured at this point because Doctor Strange
Doctor Strange is all fucked up. I really love that little addition of like, he didn't have a good time grabbing this guy.
And they have everybody captured. And now here's the thing that I felt was pretty well done.
Yeah.
I thought with you, because the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans are very different in tone.
Sure.
And I felt like their villains fit into the MCU more comedic style almost instantly and seamlessly, because they make the jokes with the fucking sorcerer and all that type of shit.
Yeah.
And then they get the plan, we got to capture the other ones. So then he goes off to
There's this really cool little conversation that Electro has with Sandman. Yeah. And they're different universes.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I fell in a bucket of eels. Yeah. And then the other guy's just like, I fell into a Hadron Collider. And they're just like, gotta watch where you fall. And I fucking love that joke. Like,
I laughed out loud when he said something about magician or something like that, and what does fucking Dr. Octopus say? He says something about
it's just like he's
a performer or some shit like
what
that.
Is this, like a kid's birthday party or something like that?
And then Dr. Strange does something crazy. He's like, how did you do that? I did many birthday parties.
I did a lot of birthday parties.
Exactly. I don't know. I've always loved that dry humor from Dr. Strange.
Yeah.
So he starts getting the rest of the guys. Of course, then the next person he's got to deal with is Electro. Mm-hmm. Jamie Foxx showing up. Love Jamie Foxx and everything.
I did not like Jamie Foxx as Electro in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. And this is a controversial, I guess this is a pretty hot take for this movie, but I loved this characterization of Electro.
Yes.
It's almost like they were just like, hey, Jamie Foxx, remember when we made you be real stupid in that other movie and we kind of took away your Jamie Foxiness? Just be Jamie Foxx.
The opposite.
just be yourself.
You know what else I loved about this?
Yeah.
Was I loved the electricity going through him, making the old school Electro mask, but electric version of it.
Like the 1960s
yes,
one.
So good, so good.
One,
Totally had no idea Sandman was in this movie, so Sandman showing up, I was like, nice, cool. like it. But I like the characterization of Sandman too, because he's very much in, I remember in Spider-Man 3, he's kind of that in-between guy, man, I don't really want to be doing this, but I have to be doing this. Yeah. So I liked that too. He kind of helps out, gets Jamie Foxx back, gets the Sandman.
Still not trusting, still a cool, compelling character.
Right.
He still has his own motivations. I love that. I've said this to somebody else in conversation since I watched this movie. One of the things that I really fucking like about this movie is that I feel like nobody was treated, even Lizardman, and even though he was maybe the closest to this, I don't feel like any single person that they brought in from a different movie was treated as a cameo. I feel like they respected the stories they came from and tried as hard as possible to give them their place in this world. And I loved that every character. It wasn't just like here are my powers, I'm a cameo. It was just like I have my same motivations from those movies. I'm acting the same. I'm trying to be as true to the character, and the actors like gave it their all again, even though they were in somebody else's property. I don't know why, but I feel like this was handled with so much respect.
I thought going in, the opposite was going to happen. And in the first act, I continued to think the opposite was going to happen. Oh, okay. Obviously, Dr. Octopus is going to get a lot of screen time, and everybody else is going to be just like, here's your shot of it. Because I really thought Green Goblin was done. Like, when he was gone, I thought we wouldn't even deal with him anymore.
Like, at some point, somebody catches him and whatever.
Exactly, and he'd just be gone, right? Like, I didn't think we'd even see him again.
That Willem Dafoe was going to be the main bad guy.
Yes, exactly. So he shows up. Of course, he like is turns into back to Norman Osborn, and now he's like, I'm back to normal or whatever.
Real apologetic. Real
this
sincere.
Is pretty much, and then he meets up with Peter.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much the end of the first act. Yeah. And then we move into the second act.
Sure.
And now begins, in my opinion, the greatest second act Marvel has ever done. I was blown away how much I love this next act.
Okay.
Like, you get the Norman Osborn, and he's like, I'm going to do all this, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you introduce Norman Osborn. He needs a little bit of help.
He's something of a scientist.
Yeah. Okay.
I laughed.
Yeah. Me too. Because I was having a lot of fun with the movie.
Yeah. And it's so, like, it's been the meme for the last, 5 years.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Of course, like, why
Get your
wouldn't
memes
you?
in. Get your
Right.
memes in.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like, so, and then
there was a lot of people who rolled their eyes. I'm like, fuck you, man.
Yes.
Like, I'm having fun with this shit.
And then we get a cool... the beginning of a cool fight between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, obviously.
Okay.
And then they go to the Matrix universe, and this is where it started to get shaky for me, I'm going to be honest. Didn't love this scene.
Sure.
Thought it was...
I loved it because, so you're fighting in the regular world, and Doctor Strange is just like, come on, kid. And Spider-Man is just like, maybe I'm a little stronger than you expected. I love that, right? And then Doctor Strange is just like, okay, well, I'm going to go full Doctor Strange on your ass. I'm going to, pull out all the stops. And Spider-Man still gets the better at him. Yeah. I loved that.
I think
back
that's
and forth.
Foolish. I think that's a little silly.
I mean, it so much.
You have to let him win.
You have to let him win.
But I don't. That's why I think it's bad that he wins in the Doctor Strange universe.
Because you think in that universe, he's
Doctor Strange is smarter than this kid is. Okay,
so maybe a little overconfident though.
Yeah, that's the one downfall. Of course, I didn't understand the whole he's even able to avoid him during his spirit disconnect or whatever. Whatever.
It's just like his I guess his senses and
his spider senses are too so quick. Right. Exactly.
I loved it.
And so. You get that. I like the psychology or the what am I trying to say? The thoughts behind this fight. I do enjoy.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange.
You liked what it was trying to say.
Doctor Strange is saying, dude, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But the universe. Multiple universes.
But this is above you.
Right. This is. And you just don't understand how many layers above you this is. Which I'm going to point out, too. Another character I was shocked didn't have a cameo in this film? Kang.
Oh, sure.
Of course. I figured, for sure he was going to show up in the third act after a certain point. Sure. But so you have way above this. But
once the world cracks.
Yes.
I was just like, oh, what?
Kang's coming. That's what I figured for sure here in this.
Because it looked very, very reminiscent of the last shot.
Yes,
Loki.
of course. Right. Yeah. And so you have, but Peter's Peter, man. So he's like, I'm going to save every single person I absolutely can, right? And that's how Spider-Man. So I felt these two characterizations were perfect between the two of them and the problems that they caused between the two of them. Mm-hmm. Don't like him winning in Doctor Strange's world. Whatever it is, what it is. Sure. A silly math equation to finish it made me more come on, dude.
I do because every single time they've showed the mirror dimension, it's always cracking in these very geometric patterns. I loved that Peter was just like, wait a second, is this just geometry? I loved that. I don't know why. I just thought it was very fun, Right. It was just this may be magic, but it's just breaking in geometric patterns.
You are having so much fun with this movie at this point
absolutely.
That you're anything.
Yeah.
Me, I was kind of I'm still normal and watching a movie that I'm mostly enjoying, but I'm not loving yet. Okay. I've liked so far, not loving yet. Second act, we go further.
I imagine that you're sitting there with your arms crossed and a pout. That's how.
I've laughed out loud multiple times at this point. Yeah. So, but
I'm being hyperbolic, but it's very funny to me.
I was angry. I was literally scowl on my face.
You refused to eat popcorn until you started enjoying the movie more.
So then you get to him starting to solve the villain's
he gets
problems.
through and he's just like, hey, you guys all die in your universes. How about we fix you up? That way when we send you back, you won't die immediately. Yes. And even though they're all villains, they're all begrudgingly like, I mean, what other fucking choice, I guess. Let's do it. They're all pragmatic enough to just go along with it. Well, and none of them are insane except for
I think most
Osborn.
Importantly, they're all like, fuck, I don't know about this. I don't trust him at all. Mm-hmm. And then when he fixes Octavius is when they're all like...
Now they're down. But I just thought that they were able to communicate in the cells.
Yes.
Because, like, even though they're all bad guys...
Their exchanges were great. And I was like, okay, I love where this movie is going. Sure. At this point when they're talking, I was like, okay...
Because it wasn't the easy route, Sinister Six, we're all bad guys, you fight all of us. There was like some...
But I thought to myself in the back of my head, this is clearly leading to a Sinister Six part. Something's going to go wrong and the Sinister Six are going to... Of course. And I was thinking to myself at this point...
Because at this point, there are no bad guys, so they have to be the bad guys.
I'm like, Kevin Feige's a genius. I thought to myself at this point, I go, Kevin Feige is a genius. Yeah. He's like... Why make a new Green Goblin? Yeah. Why make all these new characters? Sure, yeah. Let's just bring the ones that everyone already loves.
We already broke the multiverse. Let's fucking do
it. The ones that people didn't love, we'll make them love in this one because we're MCU and we can do it better than they did. We can do it better than they did. And they were right. Like we pointed out, Electro was better than he was before. Yeah. So, and even characters that were really good before were even better in my opinion.
Sure.
They save Octavius. Yeah. Things start to go good. We're like, all right. We're on the right roll. Yeah. And then, of course, Spider Senses. Yeah. And then Goblin, man.
Yeah.
Dude. This is amazing.
This next 15 minutes of movie.
Unbelievable. It was like, man, and I've seen a lot of Dafoe recently because I just saw.
Dude, when he's punching him in the
face. God, that scene. I was like, this is the greatest fucking Spider-Man scene I think I may have ever seen. And he's just laughing. He's like
he's so insane in that moment. I couldn't believe it.
Oh my God. You are not kidding. I was so in love with everything that's going on the screen at this point in time.
The way that they were fighting was also super brutal too. Like even Peter. Like when he used his webs to like pull himself down and smash right through the floors. Like I was just like, this is it's like
Green Goblin power bombs him at one point.
I thought to myself, I love how like they're taking as much from the intellectual property as possible and showing us the highest iteration of like this character's fighting ability.
Sure.
Because it's like it just makes the action more fun. You know, like it wasn't just like swinging around or whatever. It was just trying to be as creative as the comic books have been, as the video games have been. It's giving us the thing where people are just like, well, couldn't Peter have done? Yes, and he did it here. Yeah. And it was so fucking fun.
And I was thinking to myself of like another fight that was kind of similar to this in the past, like between like Hulkbuster and Hulk. Then they go through a building and everything. This was so much better than that.
And even
so much
that scene,
brutal.
I remember that was so fun.
Yeah.
This scene was just like
great. It was perfect. It was perfect, dude. And so. Then, of course, the Sinister Six get away, and they're off to do their shit. Yeah. And then we have to deal with, fucking course.
Yeah.
Aunt May.
Yeah, for sure. Did you see this coming? I didn't see this coming.
Yes.
When she got hit, I was just like, oh, did she just get killed? And then when she got up, I'm like, okay, she didn't get killed. We're good. And I even thought... Your teeth aren't as sharp, Marvel. Like a different company would have killed her.
Yep.
And then the moment she said, no, with great power comes great responsibility, I'm just like, oh my God, she's about to die.
Yep.
And I mean, her death.
So I write notes when I'm in the theater.
Yeah.
She gets up, and I picked up my notes, and I go, Aunt May bullshit. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Then Aunt May died, and I was like. I don't know if I like that more or worse than I'm like, it's just Ben again. I'm like, oh, okay.
But I liked that what the movie was saying was that Ben dying is an essential part of Spider-Man. You cannot have Spider-Man without this moment in his life.
Yeah.
And the way that they gave it to us, in my opinion, was better than the other two movies. Because in the other two movies, I didn't give a fuck about Uncle Ben. I didn't know Uncle Ben, whatever. It's his Uncle Ben. Whereas in this movie, I had liked Aunt May for
You've had her
movies.
It's more than that, too.
4 or 5
she's been in other
movies.
non-movies. Yeah. So,
I cared about the character. I cared about the relationship. The stakes for her dying meant something.
But you've had her more on screen. So that's unfair comparison.
No. It's not that I'm saying Uncle Ben dying is dumb. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I never cared about that. Like Spider-Man cared. In this movie, I cared about Aunt May dying like Spider-Man cared about Aunt May dying. And so when, like, in the first two movies, when Uncle Ben dies, I didn't fucking shed a tear. In this movie, I was bawling like a bitch, dude. Like, I was sobbing. Do you remember when Tony Stark died? I was crying that hard. You didn't care? Well, I mean, you're heartless.
I cried when Tony Stark died.
You're a heartless old crotchety guy.
I certainly didn't cry at this scene.
I was bawling.
I cried at one point in this movie, but it certainly wasn't at this scene.
Sure. Right.
I was like,
I'm interested in knowing where it happens.
So it goes onwards, and now we deal with, of course, MJ come back in, and the one other come back in. And now he can do magic because he's got Doctor Strange's ring. Mm-hmm. And they want to find Peter Parker.
A lot of people are like, well, they set it up because you said that there was magic in his family. I don't think there needs to be magic in your family. I think you just need to have that thing. And then
we don't need Broom Boy from Last Jedi.
I'm pretty sure that they established in the Doctor Strange movie that you can just learn magic.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, Doctor Strange just learns magic.
Exactly.
So,
and the other guy who plays basketball, he wasn't a magic guy. He just learned magic.
Yes. So
and then he used it to heal his back and then just left.
Right. NYPD Blue guy.
Or anything. Yeah.
So he creates a portal to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And now in the scene, I was like, okay. But then when I thought about it more, don't like it. The point of this ring and this whole thing, I remember Tilda Swinton explaining it. Yeah. You think of something, you open it, and then you go there.
Yeah, it's not like it has AI in it.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure, yeah.
It's like, I'm thinking of my Peter Parker, not Peter Parker in general.
And the machine in the ring is just like, Peter Parker.
Okay.
This guy's technically Peter Parker.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it was whatever.
I didn't give a shit.
I know.
I thought of that when it was happening. Didn't give a shit.
So, of course, you got to get these other two Peter Parkers into the film.
Now, when he did open the thing and he was walking around, for a split second, I didn't see it coming.
Same here.
But then as soon as he looked over, I'm just like, oh, is this where they're going to do it?
Same here.
Yeah.
It's funny that we had the exact same thing. Because they open it and he turns and I was like, oh, okay, they're going to pull him back because he's hiding or something in the set or whatever. Yeah. And, oh, okay, cool. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then he does his little Spider-Man stuff. Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. Now they're going to, and I was like, I wonder if, are they going to, and then they bring in, of course, Tobey Maguire. Sure. And I was like,
I loved how old Tobey looked. There was just there was such a reality to these characters in this fucking universe. They seemed like to me it wasn't Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I legitimately in this movie saw them as the Spider-Man that they had been now in this.
I agree with you completely on Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going to wait. My God, was Andrew Garfield awful in this movie, dude.
I didn't think so.
I was like, this dude sucks as an actor. This guy is fucking atrocious. Stop. And then I thought about, wait a second, no, I've liked him in other movies. Yeah. So he's just bad as Spider-Man. Fine. Is what it is. No big deal. Sure. Hated him. Yeah. All right. So we go through
we're going to hard disagree on that one.
Okay.
Move on, obviously.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's art. So you like it. I don't like it. Okay.
I just wanted to state for the record, I disagrey. I liked it.
You thought he was great?
I thought he was great.
You thought he should win an award?
I thought he was great continuing the characterization that he had done.
Okay, all right. So all three Spider-Man meet up then, of course, right? Fun scene there, and them just kind of sharing things and all that type of shit, and they're like
realizing that they've been through the same stuff,
right? Of course. And now we get a little bit of a slowdown at this point in time because then they start working together, figuring out, and you get a lot of comedy throughout this or whatever, and
it lightens you back up because it just killed Aunt May and it was really heavy. So let's
a lot of jokes now between the three of them or whatever. Peter Parker from their world style jokes back and forth and shit like that. So funny scene of it's funny because there's been so many rumors online about who what's his friend
Ned.
Yeah, Ned is going to become because the other movies, and then it gets brought up in this film, which made me laugh too. I laughed at that scene. They of course share their death stories and all that type of shit and what made them have great responsibility.
Yeah.
And so then they get all the fucking things together to solve their problems.
Yep.
So
here we go.
Into the third act.
Yeah.
All right. Third act begins, and they're like, all right, we got to get to all these people. Where are we going to get them? Mm-hmm. Statue of Liberty, right? Where the new fucking Captain America shield is going up on the Statue of Liberty, which... Whatever.
Fine. I mean, they break it off.
Yeah. I was happy.
So I was just like, oh, this is a very MCU-ish thing to do, I guess. Yeah. And then when it broke off, I was just like, That's probably for the better.
So we get all them doing their things. They're fighting and everything like that.
Everybody shows up to start fighting.
Right. They start doing all their shit. And everybody, now this is like the big third act scrum like they always have in Eternals.
I liked that this... So, like, a lot of times when I'm watching these movies, I don't necessarily... I'm not there for the third act fight. Right? I'm there for the comic booky stuff happens, and then I just hope that the third act fight is fun enough. Okay. Right? This third act fight, I feel like, is what third act fights are trying to do and can very rarely do, which is that everything that happens uses the motivations of the characters and continues the plot. It's not just like this has to happen for the end of the movie. This was very central to the plot, and I felt like moved the plot forward. Okay. Which to me, for as fun as a third act fight needs or can be, it was more fun because I cared about the results of every single person's motivations. It was using their plot motivations well, I thought, and characterized them all very well. So like I differentiate this third act fight from, like, I don't know, the one at the end of fucking Avengers Endgame.
Whoa.
Or not Endgame.
I was going to say, come on.
Infinity War.
Okay.
Where it's just like, now everybody's
Let's finish
fighting.
it up.
Yeah.
It's funny. So me, I'm going to be honest with you at this point.
Yeah.
I hated this third act so much.
Interesting.
And I thought it's one of the worst third acts they've ever done.
Oh, that's so
And
weird.
I think that's because of how much I loved the second act. But this third act to me was just like, let's clean this up quick. Let's clean this up quick. Let's clean this up quick.
I mean, they had set this up as the plot the whole time.
Yeah, I just don't care for the execution of it. I thought maybe it was, you're rarely going to hear me say this.
Yeah.
Movie might have been too short. 2 hours and 20 minutes could have been 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Okay.
Could have had more to deal.
They all, instead of all fighting all at the same time, they just like found them.
They just
around
deal
the
with them,
globe.
like or something. I don't know. It just was like a bit of a mess to me. And like,
I didn't see that. At all.
Of course, dude. Of course not. Yeah. You have never complained about an MCU movie. We know
saying,
this, bro.
Like specifically, this didn't seem like a mess. I thought this was the opposite of a mess.
Too much silliness going on to me.
Yeah.
And like. There was high points. Sure. Like I loved Octavius and Maguire meeting again and having a fun conversation and whatnot. And I liked all that. And I thought, but like you spent a second act so much with the Goblin. And I feel like the Goblin was just like, hurry up. Here, let's get him in here.
He had his middle thing.
Yes.
He had his middle thing. He had his time to shine.
Yeah. He's your main bad guy, though.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in the end, he got his, the moment that he had his little, crux moment.
So then we get to, of course.
I fucking love that, too.
Captain America crashes.
When he comes in, right before that. Right before that. When he comes in and he steals a thing and they get it back and there's a fucking pumpkin bomb in it, I was just like, of course there'd be a pumpkin bomb in that. I fucking love that.
Yeah, and so then you have, and I thought this movie was going to end very differently than it did. I want to point that out.
Did you care when the thing came off and MJ fell?
So
and then.
So I teared up at that scene because I remembered that scene from that perfect. Loved that scene.
Yeah.
Shield crashes down.
Yeah.
Of course, now Spider-Man's getting the best of Green Goblin.
Yeah.
And we get the shot from Civil War and from Winter Soldier where he's about to fucking destroy him with that shit.
Fucking rip him open.
And fucking Tobey Maguire stops him.
Yeah.
I have goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah.
Totally fucking teared up in this scene.
Yeah. Because Tobey went through that specific thing
exactly
in that exact way.
Exactly. It was I thought, this is as powerful as MCU gets.
Yeah.
And I don't feel very moved by MCU things often.
Yeah.
This was definitely it.
Yeah.
And it's because, of course, from 2001 to this point here in 2021.
The fucking, narrative task done this well could have only happened because of 20 years of cinema.
Of course.
Like, that to me is mind-blowing that they were able to be
That's why, Endgame is so good.
Yes, because they were like, here's 10 fucking years.
All culminating to this point. Because we're not like many other studios. We will go back to do the work and meticulously pick out things that we're then going to bring into this.
I love that.
Something that the MCU, as much as I feel back and forth on the MCU about.
Yeah.
It's something I'm going to give them credit for. They meticulously do that and pick those things out so that they can bring it all back together and be the kings of doing that. So then, of course, Maguire gets stabbed, though.
Yep.
They stop the Goblin.
Yeah.
But all hell is broken loose at this point, thanks to the Goblin.
Yeah. I love that scene when the thing like shatters and it cracks the sky. Visually, it's hard to really be impressed visually these days, just because you know, we've seen everything.
We saw The Matrix,
but I just love how this looked. Like there was just something about how the sky suddenly cracks that I was just like, comic book movies fucking rock. I just love fantasy. I love fantasy.
No, totally.
And getting to fucking live in fantasy is so cool.
So when this happened and Doctor Strange is like trying to deal with everything, I kind of thought the movie was going to end with this.
With it just like
it being all fucked
loose.
up,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
And now that's what's going to lead into the next film,
of course,
and having to deal with all this shit.
Yeah.
It, of course, gets solved by him sacrificing.
Sure.
And I rolled for the next 5 minutes straight, bro.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He sacrifices everybody knowing him.
Everybody.
Now, okay, importantly, the only family member he had left is now passed away in Aunt May. Yeah. So the only people who really knew him at this point, like, that matter is, of course, a Happy, what's her name? MJ, of course. Yeah. Flash and
Ned.
Ned.
And all of the Avengers.
Yeah. But he's still Spider-Man. So he's going to, so...
I guess he could technically be like, hey, I'm a
Spider-Man,
superhero, let's chill. But like,
he shows up as Spider-Man.
It's a kid.
Yeah.
You know? He's about to lose everybody that he has.
It's not like they forget that they worked with Spider-Man. They forget who Peter Parker is. So he could show up.
I don't know. So this was the messiest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like how the forgetting thing happened.
I agree. It's so weird.
The messiest thing that happened.
They forget that he's Spider-Man, or they forget Peter Parker completely, and then
didn't Flash write a book?
Yes.
Did the book disappear?
And like, more importantly, how does he even live a life if he's not a person anymore?
Sure, exactly. Did the Mysterio video disappear? Like, it's very messy.
Of course the Mysterio video disappeared, because the next scene we get definition by Jonah Jameson.
But then it's not just a memory thing. Like, he wiped reality of Peter Parker's existence.
It's very awkward how they do it.
Yeah.
But here's what I guess, to me, I just got done watching a series of films where Iron Man sacrifices his life.
Sure.
Captain America sacrificed his entire life till the end game, where he was able to go back and live some of his years or whatever. Yeah. Sacrifice being with Peggy, okay?
Yeah.
His love of his life.
Yeah. But they were adults.
Wait, I'm gonna finish. And that's what you are hammering home why I had a problem with this.
Okay, yeah.
The Hulk is like, the only way I can live is off this earth.
Yeah.
Leaving.
Yeah.
Thor gives up his throne.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not worthy of this.
Sure.
This is now yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gives up his home.
Yes, everything. Everything, right. He's a guardian of the galaxy now, is what he really is.
Yeah.
So, I had a little bit of a problem with the sacrifice being you lose your love as a child. Okay.
Sure.
We all lost our love as a child. I hate to break it.
Sure. You had to grow up.
It was just a little.
I mean, it's a coming of age tale.
Yeah, of course, you're right. Yeah. And it's not like this was egregious. Like I was like, oh my god, fuck you in the theater.
You got up and
you're
like, fuck you, Kevin Feige, and you walked out.
I was like, I thought you were a genius, Kevin Feige. I just was like, eye roll, whatever. Okay,
yeah,
fine, let's go on. So, and then that's pretty much the end of the film. Is that he, goes on doing his thing or whatnot, and then we get a post-credit scene.
Wait, before the post-credit scene, what did you think of that blue suit? I fucking love that blue suit.
Very happy with the blue suit.
I was just like,
finally in the blue suit.
Let me see that fucking blue suit in a movie, please. Let me give me that blue suit.
I gave you the blue suit, bro.
So good.
Then I
was like, that's such a fucking comic book looking character right now flying around. I was like, please give me more of this.
Of course, we get Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loved it.
Okay. I had to have this explained to me.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I thought they only pulled through the people who knew that he was Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was Peter Parker. And then somebody was just like, well, I guess the symbiote has like a multiverse hive mind. And I was just like, and in some iterations of the universe.
That's literally the scene at the end of Venom 2.
Oh, interesting.
Is the Venom creature being like, we know him or whatever.
So, interesting. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, but then of course he disappears, but Venom Peace left behind.
I don't know how Venom Peace was left behind, but okay.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Right. There's a symbiote suit in the MCU now. Yeah.
So, which I am going to guess, in my opinion, is going to lead to Agent Venom Flash Thompson.
Okay.
Because they can like hammer home that his name is Flash Thompson 3 times in this movie. And I'm just like, okay, I bet we're going to get an Agent Venom kind of thing going on with Flash. Which, fine, that was a cool story too. I'm totally cool with that. And then, of course, unfortunately, there's a certain motherfucker in this room who goes, hey, man, make sure you stay. There's 2 stingers.
Yeah.
It's not a stinger.
I forgot that the second one was a trailer, and you don't watch trailers, so you ended up watching a fucking trailer. I'm so sorry.
Great. I'm not even going to talk about what happened in the trailer because for any of you that don't watch trailers, I don't want to give away anything.
Oh, no spoilers. Come on. Because there are 2 things that happen in this trailer where, like, I feel like I want to talk
Go
about.
ahead.
They show Agent Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
Like Captain Britain from the What If.
Yeah.
And then they show the like deranged Doctor Strange from What If.
Yeah.
So like the speculation that What If was going to tie in, they made.
I don't think so.
On that,
I don't think the direct What If is going to tie in. Marvel is very smart with how they do their trailers. When I accidentally see any trailer, they are very good at left hooking people with trailers and shit like that. And I think that we're probably going to have something like that here, where it's just a tease of that, and it's not really going to be. Although it's clearly going to lead to something. You know what? Okay, we'll talk about it for a second.
I'll tell you. There's a scene in this trailer where Strange goes to visit Wanda, and Wanda's like pruning her trees or whatever. And he's just like, "Hey, Wanda," and she's like, "Hey, about what happened?" And she's like, "Listen, I'm not even here for that. I'm not here to talk about what happened with you." That scene, I was just like, "Fuck, I love how big this universe is. Like, I love that I've seen all of it, and I love that it's like." It feels like comics now. Yeah. Where like you read a comic book and they're just like, hey, what's going on in Krakoa? And it's just like it's not even an X-Men comic, you know? I love that. The self-referential stuff talking about other parts of the universe makes this fucking world feel so real and lived in.
Yeah.
And so when he's just like, I'm not here for that. Like I was like, yes,
that's why I told you I love the part of commercial from Morbius when he knows Venom.
Yeah.
But anyways, I agree. I thought and here's the other thing. I was worried that we weren't going to get Mordo back again this early.
Oh, yeah.
God damn, I love that Mordo's back. And I love that it's like, it seems like he's not a bad guy.
He's just about his fucking job.
Yes.
Like,
and he's
got
like,
a goal.
You are going to be the thing that destroys everything.
The worst part about this universe, the most dangerous thing in this universe is you.
Yes.
So, sorry.
Yes. I hate to do this, but I have to do this. So, I'm really pumped for Mordo. And like you, the one thing that still saves the MCU for me, that still makes me go, okay, I'm gonna begrudgingly stay on board with the MCU is I too like the crossovers. I like other heroes being in every single movie now. I never want another movie where it's just standalone hero.
Because why would it be ever?
Right.
Like that doesn't make any sense. It's not like that in any comics.
Yes.
There is no comic where the X-Men aren't doing something where like the Fantastic Four don't show up and go, hey, what's going on over here? You know?
It's silliness.
I love that.
Right. We don't need...
They're in the same city.
Yes. We need no more... All these characters have intersected at this point.
Yes, absolutely.
We don't
know each other.
Unless the only time I'm fine with it is, of course, new introductions.
Okay.
So like Eternals or Shang-Chi. You don't need a new... But even that had Wong for a second.
Yeah.
Like, you can still do that. You don't need as much as like Doctor Strange in this for
I don't
new
need them
characters.
To be characters. Like in the example that I just gave, I read a comic recently where it's an X-Men comic specifically where Sabretooth is breaking out with Mystique. They're stealing something. And when they jump out, Scott Summers goes to pick them up. But before he does, the Fantastic Four show up. And they're just like, hey, Sabretooth, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're going to take you. And then Scott Summers shows up and everyone's just like, oh, hey, Scott. Like, they know each other. And like, hey, how's your kids and stuff? Like, and then that's it. You don't see the Fantastic Four anymore. They're not characters here. But they exist in this universe, and some shit happened, so they're gonna say, hey, you know?
So, do we have an idea where the fuck Nick Fury has been?
Yeah, so he's on that, like, at the end of Captain Marvel, he fucked off to space.
At the end of Captain Marvel, he fucked off to space?
He was in space at the end of Captain Marvel.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so, like, in the post-credit scene at the end of Captain Marvel, he's in space, and the Nick Fury that we've seen for some nebulous amount of time has been the Skrull guy.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So the Skrull was in Spider-Man 2.
From what yes, so for sure him in that. But from the things that I've seen, there's a lot of heavy speculation that it's been the Skrull guy since Captain America, Winter Soldier. After he got all fucking shot up, they took him to space, and then
all right,
it's been the Skrull since then.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
So now we get to the point of what'd you think, Spider-Man: No Way Home?
I love it. You know, what is more? I have nothing more to say than what I've said. Okay. I spilled my guts as soon as we started fucking talking about this. This to me was like, I don't know. This is not only top tier Marvel. This rivals Endgame for me.
Give me somewhere in your top 5, top 10, middle.
For Marvel, it's tied for first. You know, like this and Endgame to me are the most fun I've had at the movies. Huge culminations of tons of stories all together. I was just as hyped. I was just as like it didn't let me down in any way. To me, this is the best that Marvel can produce, and so I'm not gonna lose any time thinking about which one I liked more, the Endgame or this one. This is just the highest iteration that Marvel can produce. It's as high as it's possible to go, I think. And the fact that they did it a second time after Endgame, because I really legitimately was just like, okay, well, I'm glad that I got Endgame in my life, because that was just a really cool comic book thing that I finally got to see on the big screen. The fact that they were able to do it a second time, and I don't mean another Endgame-like event, I just mean another movie at that height, at that like level, is fucking awesome for me. Now I'm more confident that they can probably do it, more times. And obviously, like every time going into a Marvel movie, I know I'm going to enjoy it. But like as far as Marvel movies go, like Black Widow was like a 6, Shang-Chi was like an 8, 8, 9. Eternals was like a solid 7. I gave it a little bit more because it specifically was the things that I liked. As far as Marvel movies, a little bit more than average. This to me was just like, it broke through that roof. That
like a 9, 5 to 10.
Yeah, it broke through the same roof that Endgame did. And before this, Endgame had been the only movie to break it. And it was just because it gave me too much of the things that I wanted without really like losing me and like, well, what if I didn't fucking care. I just had too much fun with it. And so yeah, that was how I felt about it. How about you?
I struggled with this film. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Would I recommend this movie to a person? Absolutely.
Yeah, clearly.
Obviously. Yeah. Especially if you are a fan of comic book stuff. This is a good comic book story overall. That said, for me, this is not the same as for you.
Sure.
If I put this on a 10 scale, for me personally, this is like a 6.5 to 7, man. It's
slightly above average in MCU movies.
Yeah, it's this
like,
to me.
You've seen a ton of MCU movies that are better than this.
There's not a ton of MCU movies. There's like 25 movies.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's like 25 movies. So where do I put this? Like, dude, to me personally, this is probably the worst of the 3 Spider-Man films.
Oh.
Between No Way Homecoming and Far From Home.
Yeah.
I think I like both of those films better.
Yeah.
To me, the best parts of this film were Tobey Maguire things. It was Tobey Maguire. Like, I love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus. Those were my 3 highlights of the film. Those are from the Tobey Maguire films. So
were the highlights like just Tobey Maguire saying hi? That was
hold on, you. I didn't interrupt you.
Uh-huh.
You ain't gonna interrupt me, motherfucker, when I'm busting my ass on some Spider-Man.
Okay.
It is
It's just saying you're saying
to me. That stuff was like the characterization of those characters and everything like that was the top notch stuff for me, and it saved the movie to bring it to about a 7 for me. For me, it's the second best Marvel film this year. Like, I definitely have Shang-Chi ahead of it. Wow. I had much more fun at Shang-Chi from beginning to end. This to me, the beginning was a little rough. The Doc Ock on to the death of Aunt May was great. The Spider-Men were fine, and then past that, I was pretty much disappointed. I thought it was still too safe. As crazy as that sounds, like the fact that you can't kill Tobey Maguire, like you kill Tobey Maguire, man, and in my opinion, you kill Andrew Garfield too. And you make more out of this, and you make it to the point where this is the catalyst for your next kind of like ramp of films, but I feel like it's going to go smaller time than what I kind of expected, which is fine. But nonetheless, this is not a bad film. I want to make this point specifically clear. Did I dislike this movie? Not at all. Did I love this movie? No. It's in between those two emotions for me. But if I went back, I am almost certain I like Homecoming more, and I'm pretty sure I like Far From Home probably as much as this. And that's just kind of how it came out for me. Like I had a weird roller coaster in this film where I was like, wow. I was exactly where you were at a certain point where like, this is giving me fucking way more than I ever expected. And when Jamie Foxx was like, I thought you would be black, I was like, fuck, man, why didn't they get Miles into this? That'd have been awesome too, but whatever, you know.
I was actually like surprised that it didn't somehow fit a Miles cameo.
I thought it would be cool to have more
like
Spider-Man.
After credits scene was the fucking Miles or something.
Yeah, or whatever, like some more. It's like I would have probably jumped for joy to see Spider-Ham or Spider-Noir or something like that. Man, if Nick Cage would have fucking voiced a Spider-Noir, that would have been great. But nonetheless, you know, I don't know, man. I feel like I go back and forth with stuff so much, and one of my problems with the film, to me, it feels a lot like The Mandalorian Season 2. Okay? Again, my opinion here, but too much fan service, not enough substance. That's how I felt about The Mandalorian. But because I love Star Wars beyond belief, I loved The Mandalorian Season 2. I ate up all the slop. I couldn't eat all the slop in this because I'm not as much of a fan of MCU
what
as
do you,
I am.
Like, just for clarity's sake, what is substance to you?
I feel like, okay.
Like, what do you define as substance?
You have made this movie be the coming of the new Spider-Man.
Okay.
And it's been 3 movies to do that. Okay. To me, that is almost a waste. Like, that to me is...
What is substance, though?
Something more important to the greater MCU, I think. This just made another character for the MCU. Like, it's so weird that this is the 3rd movie for a character who's been throughout this series already. Yeah. Like, at this point...
Like, you were judging this movie on what it added to the greater universe?
Of course.
Not what it said about Spider-Man, what he went through.
No, because this is your 3rd movie.
Sure.
These, to me, are... Think about other movies that were 3rd movies, okay? Thor Ragnarok led directly into Infinity War, and it was the destruction of his fucking world. Civil War... I mean, that was so huge.
But those are movies that were good because of what they did to the character.
No, what they did to the greater MCU as well. Because if you look back, okay, like the things that were happening in Civil War led to a lot of the reasons why there were problems in Infinity War. Because those characters were at odds with each other at the end of that film, and were like, fuck you, no, fuck you, I'm out of here. And they're no longer the Avengers at that point, and they're broken up because of that. And that makes them more susceptible to not being able to defeat Thanos.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what was good about those movies is how many like actual characters it had involved and how many like character plots it involved that were resolved.
Sure.
Which I agree with. I enjoy I think one of the things that I enjoyed about this movie and one of the things that I enjoyed about Endgame was that it like took a lot of characters' plots and then resolved them.
Yeah.
But like
that did this too? This movie did this too? But like, characters I don't give a fuck about. I don't, in the greater scheme of things, because they're gone, I don't care about Green Goblin. I don't care about Dr. Octopus. I don't care that any of those characters had their plot lines resolved. Because they're gone.
It's just very weird because what this movie did was say, here's a bunch of character stories. Here's like stuff they go through and then resolutions for them. And you're saying that it didn't have substance. Which I genuinely am confused by.
Did you know? That's fine. Did you know that that Hawkeye was supposed to be released 1 week earlier? I got a message about this a little while ago. Or no, the other way around. My apologies. Hawkeye was supposed to be after this, and we were supposed to see Daredevil before we saw Kingpin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
A friend of mine informed me about that.
Sure.
So that's kind of interesting. In the end, again, I have no problem with this film overall. I just have problems with this film. It's fine film. I'm a little like Green Goblin myself. I'm a little insane. So I thought this. I don't understand what you can't wrap your head around. The fact that a person who isn't in love with this stuff wouldn't love this film, because this film is so much service to a person who loves all this stuff already, man.
No, that's not what I said. I said I was what I was arguing, or what I was not even arguing. What I was asking you to clarify was when you said this movie didn't have substance, because Peter went through a lot. All the characters went through a lot. There was a lot of substance to this. There was a lot of like. I disagree.
There's not enough. To me,
and then you said, "Oh, but it didn't have enough to do with the greater MCU."
Not just that. That's a problem. One, okay,
but that was your answer to why it didn't have substance.
That's one of the reasons why I feel like it doesn't add anything to the MCU to me. Okay,
and that's what you mean by substance.
No, that's one of the things I mean for substance. Okay, but okay, again, the characters just don't matter. That's the problem that I have in the greater scheme of things, because you've taken all your villains from other universes.
Sure, they just didn't matter to you.
They don't matter in the greater scheme of things.
I didn't need them to matter in the greater scheme of things. I was watching a movie.
Okay,
I was watching a movie with those characters in it.
Sure,
so they mattered to the movie,
I guess.
Okay,
not really. Yeah, because what if you hadn't seen any of those films before? Like some people I know had not seen the Tobey Maguire films, which is crazy to me. Those characters mean even less at that point. So, like, this is what I'm saying is why it's
okay. But that's not you.
So it is
or me.
Well, sure, but I try to. I don't. Okay, you will watch a movie and just go, did I have fun in this movie?
Or did I enjoy it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do more than that. I try to do more than that.
You were just do people who don't like Spider-Man enjoy this movie? What kind of argument is that?
Do people who haven't maybe seen the Tobey Maguire?
Why does that matter?
Because
I'm talking to you and you're talking to me.
Sure.
Why are you just but Dick and Jane down the street don't like this movie? Who gives a fuck?
Hey, this isn't an attack on your favorite movie of all time.
I am attacking your argument.
It's a weak attack.
Oh, interesting.
Because
some person in Australia who's never seen any of his movies.
Australia. This is a film.
I'm just saying some random stranger who doesn't like comic book movies didn't like this movie, and you have to argue for their point too.
No, it's not. I'm not arguing for their point. Okay. I often argue from a film maker's or a film creation standpoint, rather than just did I like this movie.
Yeah, okay.
We always know you like movies. Wait, let me rephrase that.
That's not true.
You like movies that aren't 80s cult films
that aren't
or
bad
90s movies. Okay, so we will definitely disagree with that, because you certainly like some bad films. Sure. But to me, it is more important than just, did I enjoy this ride? Okay, much more. I
think it's a bad faith simplification of how I see movies.
I mean, of course, we're on a fucking podcast.
I'm not trying to take anything that you're saying in bad faith. I'm literally trying to argue against the things that you're saying, which I think don't make sense.
I mean, I don't know how much more sense they can make to you. I don't
think they can make any more sense.
I felt the film lacked substance from the character standpoint. Yeah. You created Spider-Man. Great, dude. We've had Spider-Man for fucking 5 films?
Yeah.
He's been in 5 films already. This is his 6th film at this point.
No, more than that.
Isn't it Spider-Man 1, 5, Spider-Man
6,
2,
7, 8. This is his 8th
Avengers 2, and
you're talking just the Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the Holland Spider-Mans. Yeah. Right. So like, I guess like halfway in this movie, I was like, oh, okay, they're creating Spider-Man. I guess that to me is just it's kind of boring.
It lacked substance.
Yeah, okay. It's kind of boring to me.
Sure.
So that said,
yeah.
We are almost at the end of our ride, my friend.
Almost. One more episode left here.
We have a Hawkeye episode to do.
Yeah. And then we're going to do an episode on the show.
On what show?
On the Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Next week, we have a Hawkeye coming for you boys.
Yeah.
Along with our coverage, of course, of the Marvel film that started it all, Blade.
Yeah.
Here, let me ask you a question, man. What on a scale of 1 to 10, since we're talking comic book shit, how pumped are you for the greatest comic book movie coming out?
Which one?
The Batman.
Oh, Batman looks good.
You saw Tenet, right?
I just saw Tenet last night.
When I saw Tenet, that's the moment when I was like,
Batman's gonna be good.
This guy's gonna be awesome.
Interesting. Yeah, Robert Pattinson's a good actor.
Yeah.
You know, when I saw The Lighthouse, I was just like, oh, okay, he's a good actor.
Yeah. Also starring William Dafoe, of course.
Yeah.
And he was just in Dark Nightmare Alley that I watched too, and he was probably one of the best parts of that film too.
Yeah.
That guy is just
he's good.
Money still.
Yeah.
You know, he has to play characters that are a little over the top.
Yeah.
But he is money at that.
I'm really looking forward.
You know what? I'm gonna go back to the second act of this film.
Yeah.
Bumping it up. 7.5.
I'm really excited at seeing a What I'm hoping, no, I think it's year 2. What I'm really hoping is that it's a respectfully done movie to the source material, which I have not seen yet for Batman.
You should take a look, because I know you like trailers. Mm-hmm. Take a look at the newest trailer they just released this weekend.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet.
I unfortunately saw it at Nightmare Alley, because you know I hate trailers.
Sure, yeah. Unbelievable. That's good.
I was like, this might be my favorite comic book movie I've ever seen.
Well,
and the last time I saw that, last time I said that was when I saw the preview for Joker. And I was like, and I was blown away by how much I love Joker.
Sure.
So I'm very interested in this film. But what is the next Marvel film coming?
The next Marvel film coming, isn't that Multiverse of Madness? Comes on May.
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
Let's find out. Yeah. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out May 6th. That's the next one.
That is very interesting, man. Because, like, do we have any TV shows that come out before that?
Nope. The next TV show is Miss Marvel, and that's not coming out until the summer of next year.
Interesting, man. Yeah. So
then Thor: Love and Thunder comes out in July. So that'll be a fun one. The She-Hulk series comes out at some point next year. No release date. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever will be out in November of next year. That one is... I mean, I'm excited for Multiverse of Madness. Thor: Love and Thunder, I know I'm going to enjoy. I'm not like super jacked about it, but I know I'm going to enjoy it.
Man, that is the one that I'm probably the most jacked about.
Because of how good Ragnarok was.
And same director. Yes, that dude is a fucking can't miss, man.
And then I'm very excited for Wakanda Forever. Because,
of course.
Because that's got Namor in it, and Namor is going to be the first thing that I see one of my favorites.
More importantly,
yeah.
There's got to be something that major happens with this film because of course, the death of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, and apparently they're not recasting him.
No, I heard that that one guy's going to become the next Black Panther.
Who?
The monkey guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what all the talk is. And like, I know somebody who knows that person.
What?
Strangely, I know it's really weird. Yeah. So like, that's the talk, man. So we'll see.
Yeah, and then there's the movie called The Marvels, which is the next Captain Marvel movie. That's coming out February 2023. So we're only going to see 3 MCU movies next year and 2 shows.
So here's the deal.
Yeah.
Are we going to continue this coverage into 2022?
Oh, no, never mind. Holiday 2022 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special.
Are we continuing this show in 2022?
Year
in Marvel.
No, we'll probably just add them to the Patreons if we. Because we'll end up watching them.
Yeah, I mean, because we're going to still see the Marvel films, so those will
probably won't talk about the shows anymore, or we'll talk about them when we talk about the movies.
Yeah,
things like
we have Kenya ask you something, so also that are going to come down the pipe at you. So in general,
but a year in Marvel ends next week.
This has been a long road, boys. You know, one guy has loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
One guy, I've had some rocky roads at times. I'll be honest. If I look back at the year in Marvel, I can sum it up next week. But I'll say there's been some highs. There's certainly been some lows. And that's how Marvel goes.
All right, everybody, have an awesome week. See you next week for the final A Year in Marvel.